Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever found yourself, dealing with chronic physical pain or anxiety that just, it won't budge?
Hmm.
You've been through the ringer, doctors, scans, treatments, but the symptoms, they just stick around. Sometimes they even, move somewhere else.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe you've heard, well, there's nothing really wrong, or maybe they did find something on a scan, something common, but it just doesn't seem to explain how much you're actually suffering.
It's incredibly frustrating,
Yeah.
isn't it? That feeling. It's like you're some kind of medical mystery because the standard stuff just isn't working.
Yeah.
And you're left with this awful possibility that maybe this is just your life now. People try everything. I mean, surgery, medication, PT, diet changes.
Right, all the usual routes.
And look, those things are crucial for many issues, obviously. But for these kinds of cases, sometimes they just don't get to the root of it.
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're diving into today. We've been looking at material that gets right to the heart of this really powerful connection between your mind and your body. Specifically, how things like unresolved stressful events or emotions you might not even realize you're burying, and past trauma, big stuff and the smaller ongoing stuff, how that can actually show up as real physical chronic pain or debilitating anxiety.
Yeah, and these sources, they draw heavily on insights from, well, people influenced by Dr. John Sarno's work, which was really groundbreaking.
Right.
And they're just filled with these powerful, often kind of surprising personal stories.
Mm-hmm.
Real people who navigated this exact path and found, profound relief.
So our mission for this deep dive, we want to cut through some of the confusion, really try to understand the core ideas behind this mind-body approach,
Okay.
and figure out why the traditional methods might not always hit the mark in these specific situations, and importantly, zero in on the actual practices that have helped people get their lives back from chronic suffering.
Yeah, get ready for some potentially real aha moments here. It's a different way of thinking about healing for sure.
Definitely. So let's start with that common experience, this enigma of persistent symptoms.
Right. The sources talk about a whole range of conditions that often fall into this bucket because they just don't respond predictably to the usual treatments.
Yeah, what kind of things?
Well, we're talking about stuff like stubborn sciatica, CRPS complex regional pain syndrome.
Which is known for being incredibly painful and hard to treat.
Exactly. Interstitial cystitis, fibromyalgia, cyclical vomiting, even some of the chronic symptoms people experience with long COVID.
Right, and it's crucial to understand these aren't just minor aches. The accounts describe really intense pain.
Yeah.
Sensations like burning, being poked constantly, just agony
Yeah.
that seems way out of proportion or just doesn't get better with what medicine usually offers.
Mm-hmm.
One person shared a story about widespread pain. They thought it was their spine, had neck surgery, but the pain just flared right back up when life stressors came back. Another battled CRPS, tried countless things. Nothing provided lasting help. Just
Right.
nothing.
Wow. And this is where that frustration really peaks, right? You have these
Yes.
undeniable physical feelings.
Oh, yeah. Very real. But the tests, the MRIs, the x-rays, they come back saying, nope, nothing wrong here.
Or they find something super common, something doctors might even call a normal abnormality.
Like what?
Things like spondylolisthesis, that slight slip of a vertebra,
Mm-hmm.
or bulging discs, which tons of people have without any pain, or maybe an accessory navicular bone in the foot. Little variations.
Gotcha. So things that are there physically, but maybe aren't the real culprit.
Exactly. The sources really emphasize that while these things exist in many cases of chronic pain, they aren't actually the cause of the persistent debilitating symptoms.
Right.
Like getting told you just have a pulled muscle when you have chronic widespread pain, like one story mentioned. It's clearly missing something big.
Yeah, it leaves you feeling unheard,
Yeah.
desperate, and sometimes facing this idea that the pain is permanent. You feel like a medical enigma.
Totally.
Okay, so this is where the sources suggest things take a really interesting, maybe even counterintuitive turn. It's not about saying the pain isn't real. They're super clear on that. The pain is 100% real. It is not all in your head in that dismissive way.
Absolutely not.
But the core idea is that the solution isn't necessarily found by trying to fix or, alter your physical body.
So what is the mechanism then? How does that work?
Well, the sources point to our primitive brain, the nervous system, specifically the amygdala.
Okay, the threat detector.
Exactly. Its ancient job is just keeping you alive, right? Constantly scanning for danger, ready to hit the fight or flight button,
Mm-hmm.
like pulling your hand off a hot stove, that reflex.
That's second reflex. Yeah, life-saving. You don't even think about it.
Right. But here's the twist. The brain doesn't only see physical things as threats.
Okay.
The sources explain that deep, often unacknowledged emotions, really intense stuff like rage, fear, grief, despair, shame.
Heavy stuff. Yeah. And past trauma, too. That gets perceived by the brain as major predators. And trauma here means both the big T traumas, like major events, but also the little t traumas, ongoing stress, difficult childhoods, adverse experiences.
So the brain sees these emotional burdens as being just as dangerous as, like, a tiger chasing you.
Potentially even more dangerous in a weird way, because they feel complex, messy. The primitive brain doesn't know how to fight or flee shame, you know?
Right, it can't just run away from it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what does it do? It comes up with this brilliant but ultimately really unhelpful defense. It sends out physical signals,
Pain, fatigue.
pain, fatigue, other chronic symptoms, yeah, to literally divert your conscious attention away from those overwhelming emotional threats. It's trying to keep you safe, but it's a state of, let's call it confused safety. Your body gets stuck in high alert or totally exhausted by it, all to keep you from having to consciously face that intense emotional stuff bubbling under the surface.
So it's like your brain is shouting, hey, look over here, my back hurts. So you don't have to feel that, I don't know, buried rage or grief.
That's a great way to put it. Exactly. It's a protective move. But the problem is that fight or flight response. It's amazing for acute danger,
Right, short term.
but being stuck there long term, it's incredibly draining. It leads directly to these chronic symptoms because all your energy, all your attention is going into maintaining this state of alert and distraction instead of rest and repair.
Okay, I think I'm getting the mechanism. But why do people get so stuck there? If it's so awful and exhausting, why doesn't the brain just stop?
That's a really key piece. The brain, for all its amazing abilities, it really loves familiarity, predictability.
Even if the familiar is bad.
Even if the current state is deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It feels safe in the unsafest way, as one source put it. Change, even positive change towards healing, feels uncertain. And the primitive brain often reads uncertainty as danger. So it resists.
And that resistance itself can show up as exhaustion.
Absolutely. The sources talk about resistant exhaustion, where chronic tiredness isn't just like you didn't sleep well. It's the nervous system basically forcing you to slow down, conserve energy, almost like you're prepping for some big threat. But the threat is emotional, not physical.
Wow, that makes sense. And I guess we all develop ways to cope with uncomfortable feelings, right? Avoidance tactics.
Oh, definitely. We all have them. And people develop these incredibly effective, but ultimately unhelpful self-soothing habits. Avoidance behaviors.
Like what?
Things like chronic procrastination or becoming hyper-focused on fixing everyone else's problems so you don't feel your own stuff.
Guilty.
Or zoning out for hours with TV or scrolling, using food, alcohol, shopping, whatever. These become like automated habits.
Right.
They successfully keep the uncomfortable feelings down, short term, but they also keep that emotional reservoir, as they call it, totally full. The pressure never gets released. The unconscious can only hold so much,
And the sources also mention certain personality traits might make people more prone to this?
Yes, they definitely highlight that. Traits like intense people-pleasing, perfectionism, being really hard on yourself, self-criticism, and having this deep-seated need to always be seen as good or right. If your whole identity is wrapped up in being agreeable or perfect or never showing you're bad.
Then feeling things like anger or resentment is terrifying.
Exactly. You're going to be incredibly resistant to feeling or expressing those things. You just bury them deep down.
And here's something that felt counterintuitive. Even constantly seeking medical solutions can become part of this pattern.
It really can. It sounds weird, but the sources point this out as another potential form of resistance or maybe perceived control.
How so?
Well, getting a diagnosis, any diagnosis, can feel like, okay, finally, I know the enemy.
Right, something to fight.
Yeah, and chasing the next procedure, the next medication, the next physical fix, it gives you a sense of doing something, of agency. But paradoxically, it can become a barrier to the deeper emotional work.
Because you're still focused entirely on the body?
Exactly. It reinforces the brain's belief that the problem is physical, keeping you from looking at the emotional side.
Okay, so this pattern can get really entrenched. How on earth do you start to shift out of it? The sources were really clear that belief is like step one.
They call it the gatekeeper. Making that conscious decision, that mindset shift, deciding, okay, I believe the solution lies in understanding my brain and nervous system, not just fixing my body parts.
That's incredibly
It
powerful.
accelerates things.
Dramatically, according to the accounts.
Yeah.
You have to at least open the door to the possibility that this mind-body thing is real for you.
But what if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, this sounds interesting. Maybe, but I'm not totally sold. Can you still try it?
That's a great question. And yes, the sources suggest you can sort of suspend disbelief. You don't need 100% conviction right away.
Like watching a movie.
Exactly. You accept the premise to enjoy the story, right? You can do that here too. Just suspend disbelief enough to be curious. To try the approach.
Trust often gets built along the way. By hearing other people's recovery stories, that helps. Borrowing their certainty. And then, crucially, by starting to see small shifts in yourself as you actually try the tools.
And it sounds like consciously connecting those dots, I did this emotional work, and hey, my pain is a little less today. That's really key for building your own trust.
Absolutely. That is how you teach your brain it's safe to feel those things. When you intentionally do the emotional excavation and you notice the pain easing or the anxiety lessens or your fatigue lifts even a little.
That's the proof.
That's your body providing the proof. It solidifies that shift away from fight or flight towards rest and repair because the brain learns, oh, okay, facing these dangerous emotions didn't actually kill me. Maybe it's safe.
Okay, belief is the gateway. Got it. So what's the core practice? What's the main tool these sources point to for actually doing this emotional work?
The foundational tool they really emphasize is something called journal speak.
Journal speak. Okay, tell me about that. Is it just like writing in a diary?
It's similar, but it has a very specific intention and method. It's presented as the primary way to allow those buried, repressed emotions, those uncomfortable truths, to safely come up to your conscious awareness.
Okay, and the mechanics, how does it actually work? What do you do?
The practice involves writing, ideally for about 20 minutes a day.
Daily.
Daily, yeah.
Yeah.
They really stress consistency. Try for a consistent time, maybe even a dedicated physical space if you can manage it. That helps create the habit.
20 minutes feels like a chunk of time.
It does, but they also say, look, even if you only have 5 minutes on a really busy day, just do something.
Yeah.
Just ladle out your emotional reservoir a little bit. Keep the momentum going.
Okay, and what are you actually writing about? Just anything?
Well, you can start with lists of things that trigger you. You know, significant childhood stuff, past stressors, but also daily life frustrations, relationship issues. And crucially, you dig into those personality traits we mentioned earlier. People-pleasing, perfectionism, self-criticism. The sources often give prompts to help you explore the feelings behind those traits.
And the key is no filter.
Yeah, it is the absolute critical part. It needs to be brutally, totally honest, just for yourself. You write freely. Don't worry about grammar, spelling, making sense. Just follow your thoughts wherever they lead. Go down any rabbit hole that opens up.
Okay.
The goal is to get past the polite surface emotions like I feel irritated or I'm worried and acknowledge the deeper, maybe uglier core feelings underneath. Like I am enraged, I am panicked, I feel so ashamed, my heart is broken, I feel despair, the raw stuff.
So the point isn't necessarily to fix your life circumstances immediately by writing?
Not necessarily, no. The goal is letting the feelings surface into your conscious mind. The brain learns safety simply through the act of knowing, of allowing these perceived threats to be seen, acknowledged, on the page, without judgment and without a catastrophe happening.
And then the body doesn't need the physical distraction anymore.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
The brain understands you can actually handle feeling your feelings. It's about letting the full, messy truth come out safely onto the paper.
Okay, journal speak sounds like the core. But the sources mention other supporting tools too, right? Things that help the process.
Yes, definitely. These are important additions. They help calm the nervous system and really reinforce the healing. Self-compassion is a big one.
Treating yourself kindly.
Treating yourself with the same kindness and empathy you'd automatically give a friend who is struggling. Actively fighting back against that harsh inner critic because that criticism just adds more emotional burden.
Makes sense. And acceptance. Does that just mean giving up?
No, not at all like resignation. Acceptance in this context isn't about liking or agreeing with your situation. It's just acknowledging reality, what is right now. Your circumstances, relationships, maybe your own traits you don't love, acknowledging them without fighting them, without that constant resistance of wishing things were different. That resistance keeps the nervous system on edge.
So how do you practice that?
One exercise they suggest is pretending to be like a court reporter. Just state the objective facts of a situation. No emotion, no judgment. This is the situation. And then allow yourself to feel whatever feelings come up about those facts.
Interesting. Meditation comes up too, briefly.
Yeah, even just short periods, maybe 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
It's great for cultivating that inner peace, that presence, actively helping shift the nervous system out of fight or flight and into that rest and repair mode.
Okay. And then there's inner child work, which, as one source admitted, can sound a little woo-woo.
Yeah, they frame it very practically, though. The inner child is just a way to think about the younger parts of you, the parts that might still be holding on to unprocessed pain or fear or trauma from way back when.
Right.
So connecting with that younger self, consciously listening, maybe through journal speak, maybe guided visualization, it's like a form of reparenting yourself.
And you're listening to that child part, not telling it to buck up.
Critically important, yes. You allow that inner child voice to speak freely, to express the raw feelings or uncomfortable truths they couldn't express back then without you interrupting or dismissing it.
Okay.
Just acknowledging and hearing those old wounds helps them finally start to heal, which means that part of you doesn't need to rely on repression anymore, which, as we said, your adult self might be translating into physical symptoms.
Got it. And finally, they mentioned a framework called ANSR.
ANSR.
Right, ANSR. It's just a simple little tool you can use anytime during the day. You know, when emotions pop up outside of your dedicated writing time.
What does it stand for?
Allow, name, stay, release.
You allow the emotion to just be there. Don't push it away. You name it specifically. Okay, that's anger, or that's fear, or shame. You stay with the physical sensation of it for just a moment, noticing it without judgment, not trying to fix it. And then you consciously release it, letting your nervous system know, okay, I saw you, I acknowledged you, it's safe to let go now.
Okay, that makes sense as an in-the-moment tool. So look, this all sounds really compelling, theoretically, but the big question is, does it actually work? Are there real stories of people recovering?
Oh, yeah. The sources are absolutely packed with proof. Really powerful stories. Like Sanja, who healed from CRPS, remember, that intensely painful condition often seen as permanent.
Yeah.
She healed in 5 days after starting this work.
5 days? Seriously?
Seriously. Or Gary, who recovered from debilitating long COVID and chronic fatigue symptoms in just 2 months.
Wow.
Or Charlotte, who'd had chronic foot pain literally since she was a child. Doctors linked it to a bone variation. It completely vanished when she addressed the childhood emotions connected to that time.
5 days? 2 months. I mean, that's incredible compared to the years, sometimes decades. People suffer with these things.
It really is. It highlights how quickly things can shift once the nervous system gets that message. It's safe now. You can stand down from emergency mode.
Right.
But the sources are also really realistic. Recovery usually isn't a perfect straight lineup.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah, it's often described more like concentric circles. There are ups and downs, setbacks happen.
So if your pain flares up again, or it moves somewhere else?
I think Dr. Sarno called that the symptom imperative. That doesn't mean you failed.
Absolutely not. Those are seen as totally normal parts of the process. It can even be a sign the work is actually stirring things up effectively. The nervous system is just trying its old tricks or maybe new ones.
Okay.
Consistency and patience are just vital. Trusting that progress is happening, even if it's not always obvious day to day.
And noticing the small wins is important. Yes, so important. That's how you reinforce that positive feedback loop for your brain. Consciously acknowledging, hey, I could turn my neck a bit further today, or I walked an extra block, or I slept slightly better.
Yeah.
Those little wins teach the brain that the emotional work is leading to physical safety and improvement. And that helps speed up the shift to rest and repair.
It also feels like understanding all this could be incredibly valuable for prevention too, right? Maybe even starting with kids.
The sources definitely touch on that. Imagine teaching children emotional awareness early on, giving them simple ways to process difficult feelings safely.
Yeah.
You could potentially prevent that need for deep repression that often leads to chronic symptoms down the road. Empowering kids to feel their feelings. That seems like a powerful preventative gift.
Okay, so let's try and sum this all up. What's the core message from this deep dive?
I think the sources make a really compelling case that chronic pain and anxiety, especially the kind that doesn't respond well to standard medical treatment, often stems from this deep mind-body connection.
Right. Buried emotions, past trauma, a nervous system basically stuck in overdrive.
Exactly. And the path to healing involves first recognizing that link, then cultivating a belief, or at least suspending disbelief, that your brain can heal your body when it feels safe enough.
And then consistently using tools, like journal speak is the main one, to bring those unacknowledged emotions and truths safely to the surface.
Yep. And supporting that with things like self-compassion, acceptance, maybe some meditation, that inner child work, all aimed at calming the nervous system and building that crucial sense of inner safety.
So it's really a journey of understanding that your body isn't necessarily broken,
Right.
but it might be sending you really important signals, and that you actually have this incredible power, this agency to heal by addressing the underlying emotional roots instead of just constantly fighting the physical symptoms.
Yeah, and the stories shared, they just show that this path can lead to really profound transformation, moving from just, enduring chronic suffering to actually thriving and living fully again.
It suggests that while the pain is absolutely real, it's not in your head. The key to freedom might actually lie in understanding and integrating what's truly on your mind and maybe what your body's been holding on to from your past.
Well said.
So maybe the question to leave you with is this. What hidden emotional truths might your body be trying to communicate through its physical symptoms right now? And what might become possible if you really dared to listen?